Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks, TYT Politics. There was a problem with the stream apparently, my last time doing this, so let me know if this one is working better for you. It is Friday, November 18th, and I am back from Standing Rock where I was for a few days recently. It was my fourth time there. We have some great videos up on youtube.com/TYT Politics. So go check out all the latest videos we've been doing from there. After this video, I will be going live on TYT Politics Facebook page to go over the latest on Standing Rock. So you can go watch my next report on Facebook after this, and you could go check out the latest videos up on youtube.com/TYT Politics. Let me just make sure everybody can hear me, can see me, because there were problems before this. So, while I was at Standing Rock, I couldn't really report on the latest buffoonery coming out of the Democratic establishment. The Democratic establishment is in complete denial that Hillary Clinton lost the election, why Hillary Clinton lost the election, that they need to even change anything. This going into the Trump presidency, essentially they want to say things, kind of come off like they're reevaluating. They might change things. We get it. We need to go back to our white working class roots. But essentially, they don't actually want to change anything because that would involve no longer taking money, taking blank checks, having cocktails with the people you're supposed to be holding accountable, the banks, the pharmaceutical companies, the oil companies, all the special interests. So we'll talk about making some changes, but we're not actually going to do anything. So let's make that clear. So I want to first get into what Harry Reid, good old Harry Reid, the Senate Minority Leader, who is retiring, he was on MSNBC last night. And once he retires, we're going to have the luxury of New York Senator Chuck Schumer. Good old Chuck, who, if Hillary Clinton took the most money from Wall Street, it's like Hillary Clinton is A and Chuck Schumer is like A1. They're two peas in the same pod. So Harry Reid is on MSNBC last night. And let me tell you what Harry Reid said. When asked about why the Democrats lost, whether they need to change anything, this is what Harry Reid says.
There's a very spirited debate happening in the Democratic Party, in the left, among liberals about what went wrong on Tuesday night.
A lot of things went wrong.
What's your understanding?
But not very wrong, Chris. You take Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and there's just a handful of votes. So sure, things didn't work out the way we wanted, and there's a lot of new things we need to do, but I don't think there's any one thing we can look at, other than my consultants, that would help what we had done.
So it didn't go a lot wrong, Chris. It only went a little bit wrong. By the way, she lost by 107,000 votes. So that's a little bit wrong. By the way, she got 5% less among African Americans, 6% less among Latinos, 6% less among ages 18 to 29 compared to President Obama in 2012, but just a little bit wrong.
And, I could go through a litany of things. There's no question in my mind. She would have won this election without any problem if Comey had not been the Republican operative that he is. For example.
Those are strong words, Senator.
But I believe it. He came out against what the Attorney General had recommended, against what common sense dictates. He is the reason she lost the elections. So if you want one reason, that's it. Comey, he can be fat and happy in his office there for 7 more years after having thrown an election to Donald Trump. And if he feels good about that, that's nice.
So Harry Reid's not the first one to blame James Comey. The FBI director, who, if you weren't paying attention, about a week before the election, came out and announced that they were looking again at more emails that were discovered in the Hillary Clinton private server case. So the Clinton campaign freaked out. He's trying to elect Donald Trump. The media obviously covered the whole reopened email scandal at length. Comey, I believe it was 2 days before the actual election, came out and said, all right, we looked at these new emails and no change here. We're still not indicting her, blah, 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 blah. But so Harry Reid, the Senate minority leader who's retiring, who's taking more money than God from all the special interests that are the reason the Democrats have lost and are the reason so many rural, white, working class people jump ship to a maniac like Donald Trump. I'm going to get to how much money Harry Reid has taken in a minute. He says, there's no question in my mind she would have won this election without any problem if Comey had not been the Republican operative that he is. He is the reason she lost the election. He could be fat and happy in his office for 7 more years after having thrown an election to Donald Trump. So let's debunk this nonsense. Okay? First of all, Barack Obama got 93% of the African-American vote in 2012. Hillary Clinton got 88%. Now, nobody would expect Hillary Clinton to get the same exact amount as the first African-American president. He's obviously an African-American. There's a certain amount of allegiance and loyalty that black voters have to him. So the fact that she got less than him is not surprising. But she got 5% lower, went from 93% to 88%. You're telling me that James Comey coming out a week before the election saying he's looking at more emails is the reason she dropped 5 points among African Americans? We're talking African Americans in Michigan. There are African Americans in North Carolina, a pretty good population there, where she lost by 4 points, I believe. James Comey is not the reason she dropped 5 points in African American voting. She also dropped 6 points among the Latino vote from Obama in 2012. James Comey saying there's more emails that we're going to look at is not the reason Hillary Clinton dropped 6 points among the Latino vote. By the way, the fact that a marshmallow couldn't have gotten out record numbers of Latino voters when you have a candidate who, in his original speech, said Mexican immigrants are rapists, drug lords, and murderers. The fact that she could not get record numbers of Latinos out, but dropped 6 points among Latinos, and you're telling me James Comey gave Trump the election. Give me a break. This is denial, and this is the willful unwillingness to say, listen, we have to change our ways. We have to start catering more towards white working class people, towards black working class people, to stop giving private speeches to banks for hundreds of thousands of dollars, to stop kissing the banks behind, to stop kissing the oil companies behind, to stop kissing the pharmaceutical companies behind, to stop picking big agriculture behind. James Comey also was not the reason she dropped 6 points among age 18 to 29, which are millennials. The reason Hillary Clinton lost this election is because Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate who had no message. I said it. She had no message. What was her message? Whether you like Hillary Clinton or don't, can you tell me in a nutshell, what was her economic message other than we're stronger together and I'm with her? But you have Harry Reid, who has been the Senate majority leader and is now the Senate minority leader who is leaving office, saying, oh, just a little bit went wrong. Just a little bit. If we changed one thing, changed around the edge here, changed around the edge here, she would have beat Trump. Listen, in fairness, Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote. And that's a different debate because I think the Electoral College is a complete abomination and this country should be based on one person, one vote. She did win the election by popular vote. So did Al Gore. But that's not the system we have. And to lose in states like Michigan, in Wisconsin, in North Carolina, in Florida, to a quasi-fascist maniac with no policy, no credentials, who literally made it up as he went along, and to say it's because the FBI director came out a week before and said we're re-looking at emails, it's a joke. It's a complete joke, and it's an insult, frankly, to Democrats around the country who are depending on you to get your act together to defeat Trump and make him a one-term president. So Harry Reid could live in denial. Harry Reid could go on to retirement, which he's doing soon, But progressives need to call this out, this nonsense. And it's not just Harry Reid. Plenty of Democratic operatives have gone on TV, got written in columns. Oh, it was James Comey. It was James Comey. Or they're blaming the Bernie bros. You know, those Bernie bros. They're even blaming Bernie Sanders, who bit his tongue, who sucked it up, even though, let's be real, Bernie Sanders has no love for Hillary Clinton, went around the country for her, speaking for her, telling his supporters they need to suck it up, vote for her because she's better than Donald Trump. So Bernie Sanders did his job. Bernie Sanders, a lot of viewers don't like that he did that, but he did what the Democratic establishment asked him to. He also did not go down to help out Tim Canova, which I happen to think was a request or demand made by the Democratic establishment. So I don't want to hear that James Comey is the reason Democrats lost. No. The reason Democrats lost, and I've written about this, you could read a piece I wrote about this on CNBC.com. I believe the headline was, Donald Trump's victory was sealed 40 years ago. So you could Google that. The reason they lost is for 30 years, since the 70s and early 80s, they sold out. They moved away from unions. They moved away from FDR's policies to becoming a party of Wall Street and a party of oil companies and a party of, the Harvard crowd and the wealthy professors and the wealthy urban suburbanites, instead of their blue collar roots, which are unions, working class people, middle class people. So Hillary Clinton was going around the country talking about, we're gonna have tougher regulation on the banks. We're gonna really, create an even playing field so all people have a fair shot. While at the same time, spending the full month of August fundraising with these same people she said she's gonna regulate and tax more. She spent the whole month of August in the Hamptons and other high-dollar fundraisers raising money and kissing these people's behinds. That's the party with the Democratic Party. You need to make a fundamental choice, because talk is cheap. Obviously, talk did not win you this election. People are not stupid. There's social media. There's the Young Turks. There's Democracy Now. There's progressive media that is informing the public to the fact that your words are empty and you are in the tank for the banks, the oil companies, the pharmaceutical companies, and Donald Trump, even though he's a con man who's not going to help working class people, and I'm going to report on that later, was able to convince frustrated, angry, desperate, hopeless people in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, that he is the agent of change that will drain the swamp and get rid of these corporate Democrats and Republicans that are only representing corporations, banks, and lobbyists. You got to give him credit. He pulled the wool over them. He convinced them. So I don't want to hear from Harry Reid. And by the way, just so you know, on his way out the door, he's retiring. Let me tell you about Harry Reid, his career history, how much money he has taken, and from where. You ready for this? His career, which began in 1998. So he's been in Congress for almost 20 years. You know who his top donors? Number one, lawyers and law firms. You know who a lot of these lawyers and law firms are? Same thing with Hillary Clinton donors. Financial lawyers represent financial institutions. He's gotten over $6 million from lawyers and law firms. Number two, he's gotten almost $2 million from casinos and gambling. Makes sense, he's represented Nevada. Number three, he's gotten almost $2 million from securities and investments. Wall Street. That's his number three top donor. Number four top donor, lobbyists. Almost $1,800,000 he's gotten from lobbyists. Top donor, lawyers, over $6 million. Second, almost $2 million from casinos and gambling. Number three, he's gotten almost $1,900,000 from Wall Street. Lobbyists, he's gotten almost $1,800,000 from lobbyists. Real estate, which real estate is also connected to the financial industry, almost $1,700,000. Health professionals, meaning the pharmaceutical industry, over $1,600,000. And business services, over $1 million. So lawyers, casino and gambling, Wall Street, lobbyists, real estate, health insurance industry, business services. This is all in the top 10 of his biggest donors. So I don't want to hear from Harry Reid about why Hillary Clinton only lost by a little bit. Harry Reid's as bought off as the rest of them. Has he done some good things in his career? Maybe. But Harry Reid, like Hillary Clinton, like Chuck Schumer, like Cory Booker, he's a symbol for the Democratic Party's exodus towards Wall Street and special interests. So if they're going to be in denial and say, oh, Hillary Clinton lost because of James Comey, well, the progressives need to hijack the room then. Because if this is how they're operating and they're not going to change a thing, and they're not going to start replacing their calendars, changing it from fundraisers to meeting with millennials and progressive-minded older people, and starting to tap into that progressive wing, then you might have 2 terms of Donald Trump, which they'll then blame us for. I also wanted to get into David Brock. David Brock has, for a long time, been Hillary Clinton's hatchet man. He originally, in his career, was anti-Bill and Hillary Clinton. Then he kind of evolved and became their biggest surrogate. He started Media Matters, which is kind of a fake media watchdog group that they pretty much hold the right wing and Fox News accountable, but don't hold CNN, MSNBC accountable. It's all right wing. The right wing is the only bad people. They never hold the supposedly liberal media accountable, like CNN, MSNBC. So David Brock, he also ran a super PAC for Hillary Clinton, which WikiLeaks showed was coordinating with the campaign, which is illegal, but nothing's going to happen with that. So David Brock, his lesson from Hillary Clinton losing, let's get together a whole gigantic Coke-like summit with top donors to plot how we're going to financially take down Donald Trump. I'll read from Politico. Hillary Clinton's attack dog, David Brock, is launching his own Koch brothers-like donor network to finance attacks on President-elect Donald Trump and to rebuild the political left after Trump's stunning victory over Clinton last week. Brock on Thursday night emailed more than 200 of the biggest donors on the left, including finance titans George Soros, Tom Steyer, and Donald Sussman, inviting them to a retreat in Palm Beach over Inauguration weekend to assess what Democrats did wrong in 2016, figure out how to correct it, and raise cash for those initiatives. Quote, this will be the gathering for Democratic donors from across the country to hear from a broad and diverse group of leaders about the next steps for progressives under a Trump administration, Brock wrote to the donors in an email obtained by Politico. Give me a break. The retreat, which is planned as the first in a series of regular gatherings, will feature appearances by an array of Democratic elected officials, operatives, and liberal thinkers and group officials, Brock explained in an interview. Though he said he had yet to extend invitations beyond those sent to donors Thursday night, he predicted there would be a significant interest, noting that the keynote address at his last major donor conference back in 2013 was delivered by former President Bill Clinton. Oh, my Lord. These people just don't get it, and they don't want to get it. Quote, what better way to spend inaugural weekend than talking about how to kick Donald Trump's ass, Brock said. So the answer, according to the Clinton wing of the party and the corporate Democratic establishment, the answer to getting your behind whooped by Donald Trump, a quasi-fascist, let's just get together with all the donors and get more money from them, because then we'll take on Donald Trump and beat him. These people have no brain, and they also, some of them, have no soul. They're not dumb. They know why they lost. They know she was a terrible candidate. They know just taking money hand over fist is not a guarantee anymore to winning an election. But they don't care because they don't want to change. Because if they had to change their ways, and not be the servants of Wall Street, and not be the servant of big oil, and not be the servants of big pharma, then they'd have to actually run on a message. They'd have to actually run on representing people. They'd actually have to run on more moral policy, what Bernie Sanders called the moral economy. Well, why would we do such a thing? Even though the exit polls, even though data shows that's how you're going to get the most votes, by representing people rather than the special interest. So their answer to Hillary Clinton getting her clock cleaned is to get together in Palm Beach with all the millionaires and billionaire Democratic donors, and let's just get more checks. Let's get them to start writing the checks so we could take on Donald Trump and kick his ass, according to him. It's this kind of thinking that got you Hillary Clinton as a Democratic nominee, if you want to believe she actually won, that's a whole nother story, and got you Donald Trump as president. And if progressives don't light a fire under these people's behind and not even like request that they get their acting gear, but demand that they get their acting gear, you're going to have 2 terms of Donald Trump. Because the anger in the parts of the country that Hillary Clinton lost, frankly, the anger all over the country, which I've seen traveling around the country, it's not going away. And it's not going to reverse itself because George Soros or other top Democratic donors continue writing checks for the Democratic establishment. You're not going to convince people that voted for Donald Trump, hey, vote for Chuck Schumer or Cory Booker in 4 years, because we're just going to assault Donald Trump on the airwaves and online. Those days are over. And if you don't realize that, or you're unwilling to realize that, gone with you. Be gone. We don't want you, and we can't afford this kind of bought-off politics anymore. So that's Harry Reid. That's David Brock. Then you have Chuck Schumer, who's now the minority leader, now that Harry Reid is retiring, who, oh, it said Jordan, smile please. How's that? Then you have Chuck Schumer giving a symbolic position to Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. He brought in Bernie Sanders as, I think, the director of outreach in the Democratic Senate leadership, and he's bringing in Elizabeth Warren as the vice chair. I forget the committee. So basically, 2 new positions that weren't there before to essentially throw a bone to progressives. Sure, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, they'll be in the room with Chuck Schumer. I believe Senator Patty Murray is his assistant minority leader, and Debbie Dingell, if I'm correct, who's a senator. So Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren will be in the room. We don't need them in the room. We need them in established positions that have authority and power. Oh, we'll give Bernie Sanders a position, outreach. So when we need votes or we need him to get the kiddies to come along, we'll just tap him on the shoulder. But other than that, Bernie, skedaddle. That's what that's about. You're 0 for 3. 0 for 3, in my view. I don't want to hear from Harry Reid anymore. I don't want to hear about David Brooke anymore. And I certainly only want to hear Chuck Schumer when he's saying, you were right, Bernie Sanders. You're right, Elizabeth Warren. We're not going to make backroom deals, bipartisan compromises with Paul Ryan that sell out the middle class. That's the only time I want to hear from them. So that's my report on the Democrats. Still in denial. I'm sure I'll be doing other reports because they are not changing their ways. You can follow me at Jordan Sheridan. Again, watch our videos, youtube.com/TYTpolitics. We have stuff up there from Standing Rock. Emma just did a report that will be going up on the YouTube channel. Eric's been doing some reports on Donald Trump. They're all going up at youtube.com/TYTpolitics. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? We're at 120,000 subscribers in 11 months. So you're the reason we're growing at this rate. I'll be doing another report pretty soon after this one on TYT Politics Facebook page on the latest from Standing Rock. And I will be taking on this Energy Transfer Partners, the parent company of the Dakota Access Pipeline. I got words for you, pal. He's the CEO. I will be taking him on because he's saying some ridiculous and not factual things. So you could check me out soon after this on TYT Politics. Have a great weekend, guys.